everybody. Welcome back to Notier's Frontiers.
Diaries.
Oh, you got me.
In the last episode, we were searching out volcanoes throughout Nicaragua. And in this episode, we are finally going to find ourselves on the amazing hidden secret island of Ometepe, which is actually not hidden or a secret, but it felt like that for us.
It was amazing. It was like Treasure Island.
Yes,
it was very
exactly
cool.
like that.
Yeah.
So we had left the capital city of Managua with our motorcycle traveling friends Phil and Sepna.
So we're on our way to Lake Nicaragua, I'll call it, and you'll call it.
It actually is Lake Nicaragua, but they've changed the name to be a more indigenous name, and it is Cocibolca, I believe. And so, but we made a stop before going to Ometepe at the town of Granada. Now, Granada is a Spanish colonial town that was built in the early 1500s in Nicaragua. And it is just gorgeous.
And Marissa really wanted to go there.
Absolutely. There wasn't going to be any chance in the world that I was going to go through Nicaragua and
your
not
mother
stop by
had
Granada.
Heavy influenced you as well, because her and her mother will always chat about all these beautiful places and towns that they Google. And
I love these quaint towns and cities. They're so beautiful, so historic. I love the colors of them. And Granada is one of the world's best examples of a Spanish colonial city.
Is there another Granada in like Spain or something?
Yes. Yeah. So obviously it was named by the Spaniards after Granada, Spain. This Granada is a little bit different. It's on the shores of a huge lake. Now this lake, it's kind of weird, but you know how they've made the Panama Canal through Panama. That would make the most sense when looking at the map because Panama is very narrow, whereas Nicaragua is a lot wider. But actually, there were quite a few attempts to make a canal through Nicaragua as well. And it's because of this lake. This lake is so big that the canal would have gone right through the lake. Now, there's all sorts of ecological problems with that. You'd get saltwater and freshwater mixed up and the different levels of the land. So it never got finished. But China had invested in this, and it's kind of an interesting concept. So we get to Granada. And it is just as beautiful as I thought it would be. And one of the best things about it, it has this beautiful plaza and this church and all of these cute restaurants. But my favorite thing was the horses. There are horse and carriages all over the place, and they're kind of like the local taxis of the town that can take you around. I absolutely loved that.
It was nice. I mean, being in traffic with horse and carriages and, it's a little bit slower, and traffic that poops is, adds a little bit more road hazards.
It's environmentally safe.
Yeah. And I had some good tread on my tires, and so we were going to be just fine. But I was excited to get to this mythical island opposed to, Granada. Granada was nice, and I like bringing places, most of the places that she wants to see. Yes. But I was equally excited to be headed out. And there's multiple ferries that go to this Ometepe, this island, in almost the center of this giant lake. But it's very expensive to take a ferry from Granada.
Right.
Opposed to
the shorter distance.
The shorter distance on the southern side.
And it's not, San Jorge.
And, Granada is a tourist town, and San Jorge is, just kind of...
Just a town.
A town. But
so, of course, we headed to San Jorge.
Yeah.
And from there, we caught the ferry.
ella no sabe lo que pasa. El primer verso, papi. Lo que manda aquí la clave. Este ritmo guaguancó.
The ferry was large. We were with Phil and Sepna, who had a motorcycle as well, an Africa Twin. We all put our motorcycles on the ferry, and you could just see the island in the distance getting bigger and bigger with the two volcanoes. Wow, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it just got us super, super excited.
You know, and like just a picture of it, and I don't know what's up with like tall volcanoes having like little cloud friends, you know, but like, you know, the one that like, what's that one in Switzerland that's just pretty much always has that.
The Matterhorn?
Yeah, it's always got like a little hat chilling on it, just hanging out,
Yeah.
you know, and so did Ometepe. Ometepe had like these, you know, little stocking caps on top of them.
Which almost looks like it's erupting.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
No, for sure. But they just got grander and grander as we got closer, and I was really excited to do these giant loops. Yeah.
So we got to the port city in Ometepe, and Phil and Sepna had rented a hotel there, but we really wanted to camp. We really kind of wanted to find something on the fly, which can be good a lot of the times, but it can also be bad. This is an island. It has limited space, limited places to go to, and it fills up quickly.
Yeah, what a lot of people did, though, they rented their own little, like, scooters, right? We had, like, these giant Megasaurus freaking motorcycles. But, you know, a lot of people go to the port city where there's a lot of the high tourism is there, because that's where all the restaurants are, that's where people are coming in and out of all the time. You know, we were able to get further than surely anybody on foot traffic or anybody that would, like, hire a tuk-tuk to drive them. We were able to get further away and find this little family farm. Like the only ones there, and to get there you go down this like little dirt road.
Yes.
Well, to get there, let's rewind all the way back. Like you're driving down these really tiny narrow roads on the island with barely any traffic. Again, more horses just running everywhere.
And cows.
And tourists on these little small scooters. But then you turn right off. Like the main roads are small enough, but any out branch from the main road are like, you know, just these tiny dirt paths. And it was just the excitement of driving to the coast down this little dirty road with ruts coming out, and, you know, then finally pull up to where the farm was.
Yeah. It was like the magical Ometepe dream that we had dreamed up.
And usually we like to aim low so that, you know, our expectations aren't, you know, taken advantage of by reality. Yeah. But this one, it was just a magical place. And
yes, it was. And so we set up our camp. It was very hot.
It was.
I will say that. But there was a beach right below us. And the beach had these horses that would graze along the beach. And then, of course, this is a freshwater lake. So the animals and the people, they can just take the water straight from the lake, which is really convenient. I'm used to thinking of an island being out to sea. Yeah. But being freshwater had its advantages.
And the horses would, like, play with each other and, like, mess around. And, you know, it was fun to watch them.
Paradise.
It was really cool. And, like, that's the first time, not the first time, but, like, where I was able to take some good pictures of, like, these really exotic birds. And of course we've seen exotic birds all the way from Guatemala and Mexico and rah. But
they move and fly. It's hard sometimes.
It was just really, really beautiful. And we were on like this little earth balcony that overlooked the beach that, you know, was by this, you know, beautiful lake. And it was, I could not sleep in the tent. I set up my hammock outside because it was 90 billion degrees.
Hot.
And the mosquitoes were not as bad. But
as Leon.
No, Leon was
Yeah, but that was one of the drawbacks of having a freshwater lake as well, is that then you can also have mosquitoes kind of breeding in that water if any of it is stagnant. So
but it was so worth it.
It was. There was a little place where we could get food that we would just walk down the beach to. And we did that the next morning. We packed up a lunch and then headed out to do our grand voyage of a figure 8 around the island. Possible to do a figure 8 around that lake, but as we went around and around and around, we realized that there was one section that really wasn't navigable at the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's where the main port is, and there's a couple dotted ports are all around the two
mounds.
The mounds
of the volcanoes.
Yes, but it's started to get a little bit less
of a real road.
Yeah, we were going to give it a good old gung ho. Let's go travel and see what we can see.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. We ended up pulling over because there were all these other people who had pulled over, and we were like, "What are they pulling over here for? What are they looking at?" And then we realized it was a whole troop of monkeys that were just hanging out by the side of the road.
Just a little white-faced. Are they the cappuccino? I got something right. Oh, I did it. I thought I got something right.
It's not cappuccino, but it's cappuccino.
I was so close. We're going to say that's still a win for me.
They're named after the same thing, by the way.
I knew that.
Tim always has fun facts.
I do.
Well, now I have a fun fact.
They're
named, both the cappuccino and the capuchin monkeys are named after the capuchin monks in Italy. That, because they had like a hood, and so the capuchin monkeys kind of look like that. And I don't know why the cappuccino is named for that, for those monks, but it is.
Nailed it. But yeah, so I mean, they were super duper 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 cute.
Yes.
And then, you know, some of them were walking around on their two hind legs. A lot of them were in the trees looking. You know, people, our interaction with nature, we have a different outlook. Well, not whatever. We have our own outlook.
Yeah.
And then other people want to see the cute little guys, so they'll chuck like Snickers bars at them and stuff. And I don't know much about cappuccino monkeys, but I don't think they're... You know, their diet consists of Snickers bar and potato chips.
I'm not sure anyone's diet should consist of that.
It just shouldn't.
So, of course, we did not participate in that.
No, but they got real close because, you know, they knew that they're being fed. Now, I mean, just like, they have fangs and they're scared. Like, you know, I mean, it's almost Stephen King movie if things go wrong because they are creepy looking.
You definitely want to keep your distance.
They are so cute and then so horrifying at the same time.
They have very amazing facial expressions. Like they can change their faces in incredible ways.
But it was cute. I mean, then, so after that, we
headed to a natural water pool.
Aquí estamos bravos, la chema tan brava. Esta vida gente brava, y yo también soy bravo. Por eso lo que repica son los cueros. Aquí lo que suena es fuego. Mueve la abuela el pescadero, hasta lo mueve el aduanero. Norte al sur, lo ves moviendo. La orilla el mar, lo ves sonriendo. Y yo sé lo que tenemos no es para juego y esto es divino. Por eso lo que hacemos quitar tu mano con ritmo letal.
Kind of like a cenote, if you know what those are, that they have in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, where it's a little bit of a sinkhole that has filled up with water, and it's just this crystal clear water.
Yeah, and it was kind of like the two mounds that have risen out of the lake itself. Mm-hmm. This was at like where the middle of the figure eight is where Ojo de Aguas was. Or,
Ojo de Agua, yeah, the eye of water.
Yeah.
Beautiful name and just a perfect place. Because it was so hot and we've been riding around on the motorcycle for so long, this was the perfect stop.
Yeah.
Go swimming. They had a big rope swing, which I went on, but...
I Tarzaned off it a bunch of times.
You Tarzaned a bit better than I did.
Yeah. I think that's where they had that sign that was translated from English improperly.
Oh,
we
my
gotta
goodness.
have a picture of it.
Yes, we do. But that was a super fun place. And so finally, our day on Ometepe was coming to an end. We headed back to our glorious campsite and then watched the sunset over the water and the horses down on the beach. And there was just this complete sense of peace and calm.
It was really nice, you know.
It was amazing.
It was very hot, but very nice, you know. And it's something it's one of my favorite unique places we've been. And I know we say that quite often, but like it was
very special, and it remains very special in our hearts.
Was amazing.
It was everything that we had dreamed of.
For sure.
So I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining us on our journey around the world on our motorcycle, and we can't wait to see you next time.
Smash that subscribe button.
Bye.
Peace, everybody.
Bye.
Stay safe. You forgot your little tagline.
Oh, what did I say at the very end?
Well, you forgot the...
I tried to change it.
You tried to mix it up?
Yeah.
Mix it up, y'all.